This is why AAA games are getting worse by the Act Man. Oh god. Yeah, not really looking good for the future of gaming. Here we go.
Wow, this new Star Wars Outlaws game looks pretty great.
That's pretty good.
You know what? Let's check out the official website and see if we can learn more about the... Good lord, what is happening in there? Pre-order. Get 3 days early access. Pre-order.
Yeah, they did. This is the same thing that they're doing with Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is the same thing. You pre-order and you can play it 3 days early. Oh god. I think it's like the same price modeling thing too that Assassin's Creed Shadows. Actually, I know for a fact that it is, because so this game in Assassin's Creed Shadows have a standard edition, a gold edition, and an ultimate edition. I think Actman's gonna show the chart for what's it called, for Star Wars Outlaws, but you know, we'll just have to see.
You want to pre-order the season's pass and get 3 days early access?
Yeah, you see, the gold edition and the ultimate edition, so you play 3 days early, which we went over in the last video. The whole like play 3 days early is, you know, not what it seems, unfortunately. So yeah, I wouldn't spend, you know, over $130 on the game, but hey, if you want to do that, I certainly can't tell you how to spend your money. Like, just don't be disappointed when when the game flops harder than a fish in the one. Nah, fish in the barrel is a different thing.
Pre-order. That's four pre-orders on one screen. Extend K's journey with 2 upcoming DLCs.
Oh my god, they're doing the same thing. 2 upcoming deals. They're doing the same thing for Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's literally the same thing. Like, what are they thinking?
You want to play the exclusive Jabba's Fuckhouse?
It's literally the same exact thing that they are doing for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Oh my god. It is literally the same exact thing that they are doing for Assassin's Creed. Bro. How are you getting... How are people letting them get away with this? This is blatant. This is like a blatant copy-paste.
Pre-order. Unlock exclusive cosmetic pre-order. Are you fucking pre-ordering yet?
Bro, it's... Oh my... The ultimate pack is basically the same. It's practically this... Bro. Oh my god, this is so bad.
You know what's funny? If you go to the Arrowhead Games website and just look at it, there's something special about an Arrowhead game. Games should challenge the creativity of the individuals who play them. We want our games to help forge friendships.
Yep.
And look at that. Not even an advertisement for the Super Citizen Edition.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be. You should not turn your webpage into like into just a blatant advertisement for the ultimate or like gold edition of the game. It just post 1,000 pre-order hyperlinks every... Bro, that is not the way you should advertise your game.
I think this is a great way to illustrate what AAA gaming has become and what indie gaming has evolved into. The difference in priorities is clear, and you might assume, Actman, that's just typical Ubisoft greed and shenanigans. But you're wrong. It's worse than that. What Ubisoft is doing with Star Wars Outlaws is symptomatic of a much greater issue plaguing all of AAA gaming. Recently, Ubisoft dropped a story trailer for Outlaws. I watched it, and I felt apathy. As you know,
apathy is death.
The gameplay reveal for Outlaws looked solid, but now I'm skeptical. Maybe it was the boring writing, the generic presentation, or the fact that they're directing people towards the one...
Like, yeah, look at this. $110 freaking dollars. And I'm assuming this is for the gold edition, because that's the same price that they're pushing for Assassin's Creed Shadows Gold Edition. Bro, why can't we just have one standard edition for the game? Because this is what Fallout 4 does. They don't do this, but Fallout 4 pushed out one version of the game. One version of the game. And what they did was they put out a battle pass that was initially priced at $30. $30 for for the season pass. And, you know, they dropped DLC for the game. And if you had the season pass before the DLC launched, you didn't have to pay extra for it. Then, like, they did raise the price for the season pass once, you know, DLC was being released, which, yeah, that kind of sucked. But hey, yeah, they didn't make a version of Fallout 4 that was like $110, dude. It's wild that the AAA devs are doing this. Oh my god, bro.
In $20 version of the game instead of the standard version.
Hello, I like money.
Still,
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I felt indifferent to a new Star Wars game. On the flip side, one of my buddies sent me a trailer for a game called Kingmakers. I've never heard of this franchise nor the
Neither
studio
have I.
behind it,
What
but
is this?
let's check it out.
What
What the fuck is this?
Oh my God.
This is a fucking Chevy truck in the... Oh, we're giving
Bro,
shotguns?
what on God's green earth am I looking at right now? So you have like a bunch of medieval dudes with swords and shields, and you have this guy right here, front and center, holding a pump action shotgun. What is this game? And you have him driving the truck too. What the hell is this?
How can the engine handle this many guys on screen? This is like Mountain Blade plus Dynasty Warriors with time
Oh my
travel?
God.
Grenades? Oh my
He had an assault rifle too. What the bro?
god, and they have RTS mechanics? No shot. It can't get any crazy. And helicopters too? Here's the...
Okay, I need to show this to my brother, dude. He is like the biggest fan of the friggin' medieval setting. I need to show this to him. Holy crap, dude. Oh my god. I need to go back and watch that again. So,
It's like Mountain
yeah, you have a bunch of medieval dudes running at each other.
Blade plus Dynasty Warriors with time...
Yeah, they got bows
Time
and
travel?
arrows. Dude just throws a grenade in the middle. In the middle of the battlefield.
Grenades?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, and they have RTS mechanics? No shot.
Bro.
It can't get any crazy.
And you have a freaking helicopter too. What am I looking at right now? This is so wacky. This is so wacky. Oh my god. I want to try this game, dude. I want to try this game, but I don't think it's coming out on any of the platforms that I have. And by any of the platforms, I mean the one platform I have, which is Xbox One, so I might be out of luck. Oh my god, this looks insane though.
And helicopters too?
Yeah, okay, I need to find this trailer. What is it called? Kingmaker 2? I need to find this trailer and show it to my brother. Oh my god. This is insane, bro.
Here's the question of the day. Why, as a huge Star Wars fan, am I more excited for this?
Yeah, Kingmakers. Okay. That is just such a wild premise for a game. But it draws me in so much.
And not this?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is obvious. It's Ubisoft.
It's Ubisoft, and you know, they're releasing 3 editions of the same game at widely different prices, no less.
But like I said, AAA gaming has been in decline for some time. Meanwhile, indie games have become a spawning pool for creativity and imagination. You may have seen...
Yeah, it's almost like, dude, it's almost like the whole future of gaming lies with indie developers now. It's a wild concept to think about. It's almost like, you know, there's no soul left in like AAA developers, and like the only hope for gaming now is independent and like AA developers that actually care about the games that they put out. Wow. That's such a wild radical concept. Oh my god, that's dude, that's insanity to me. It should be insanity to you as well. Wow. Yeah, like, I'm just saying, dude, there's gonna come a time and place where, you know, a lot of these AAA studios are just gonna pump out factory line games, which they're already doing to some extent. You know, Ubisoft is a huge proponent now, where, you know, they're pushing out the same game with 3 different price tags. Meanwhile, you got games like Helldivers 2, you got games like Baldur's Gate 3, you have games like, you know, Lethal Company, you got games like freaking Kingmakers 2, apparently. It's just Kingmakers. Oh my god. Yeah, you have games like this that are just, you know, experimenting with just like, well, with Kingmakers, they're experimenting with this just radical concepts. And you have like games like Helldivers 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 that are actually just solid games with, you know, a good player base. Damn, it's wild to think about, man.
Seeing the plethora of AAA gaming is dead videos spring up on YouTube. Well, AAA gaming didn't just die, it was murdered.
Not only was it murdered, it's still like continuing to be butchered, essentially. You ever heard of the little game series called Titanfall? Yeah, Titanfall 1 wasn't really that successful, but you wanna know what happened to Titanfall 2? Titanfall 2 was massively successful. It was an incredible game, dude. You had like, for the first time ever, a solid campaign in like an EA shooter that, you know, a lot of people still go back to this day. And you had the multiplayer, which was just insane, dude. Like, you had, like, it actually, like, the multiplayer of Titanfall 2 actually felt visceral. It felt fun to play. And there were so many ways you could actually play. It was insane when it came out, dude. You wanna know what happened to Titanfall? EA killed it to make, you know, Apex Legends. And yeah, Apex Legends is basically a money printer now. It literally doesn't have any soul left in it. When it first came out, it had like Apex Legends was really fun when it first came out, but now it just feels, you know, it just feels like they're just, you know, it just feels like it became a money printer for them. And yeah, oh god, guys, again, I have like really bad allergies. Give me a second. Oh my lord, okay. But yeah, like I was saying, Titanfall 2 was killed by EA, essentially. You know what else was killed by EA? Battlefield 5. Like, dude, Battlefield 5 was actually getting really good at its peak. And it never never actually got to be with all that it could be, because, well, EA saw Battlefield 5 as a massive failure because of its initial launch. So when the game actually started getting really good, just like Star Wars Battlefront 2, EA pulled the plug to work on Battlefield 2042. Oh, I'm sorry. I think that was my allergies again. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Battlefield 2042 sucks. Oh god. Bro, like, I'm just saying, EA is like a huge proponent of, like, it's working for us. Well, it wasn't working for us initially. It's working for us now. Let's just cut the cord and work on something that will bring us back down. That's EA's mentality, essentially. Oh god. Let's move on, because I forgot, the initial point. Oh god, give me a sec.
If you got that reference, welcome back to 2017 YouTube. Clearly, I'm not the only one who has felt disillusioned and apathetic towards recent AAA titles.
Yeah.
But a lot of people...
Dude, Fallout 76 was, when it first launched, it was really bad, dude. Like, the bugs, the constant disconnections, like, the only thing working at a time being the Atom Shop. Dude, like, Fallout 76 was really bad when it first launched. Nowadays, it's actually it's a pretty solid game. Like, they've actually taken the time to, fix it. And, they put out several expansions for it, which, yeah, it definitely made the game a lot more fun. I want to dive back into it, but, I just never got around to diving back into it. I mean, I have it installed, I think, so I could hop back into it, or I could do it as like a thing on stream. But hey, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Let's keep going.
Focus on how AAA games have gotten worse. They highlight the obvious: excessive monetization, unfinished products being released.
Oh god, was that Redfall? Well, I mean, nobody's gonna work on Redfall anymore because the studio got shut down. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to this little thing right here. Oh, give me a second. Give me a sec. Where are ye?
Have gotten worse. They highlight the obvious: excessive monetization.
Yeah, this was to a lot of people, this was really bad for Halo 5. Like, the requisitions... Oh, God. Like, the main thing that the requisitions were used for was the, Warzone mode for Halo 5, which was critically panned for what it was, being, blatant... a blatant pay-to-win game mode. I mean, personally, I kind of enjoyed Warzone. That was only for like the gameplay, being shafted by guys with powerful weapons kind of was a massive turnoff for that mode with me. I mean, they did release Warzone Firefight, which was fun for a time, but it was an actual genuine firefight, which kind of, yeah, not great. Not great.
Unfinished products being released. I can't masturbate to this character.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Bro. Oh my god, no. I don't know why I found that so funny when it...
And while these are all issues worth pointing out, we need to
right.
understand why these things are happening. The bigger picture. You see, the reality is AAA games have become far too safe, formulaic, predictable, and just unexciting.
Yeah, nobody's willing to take any risk anymore. Especially not AAA developers. Like, dude, some of the best games, some of the best franchises to this day, you know how they were made? You know how they were born? They were born from companies willing to take risk. That's how a lot of these great franchises were made. Because, you know, developers back then took massive leaps, massive risk. And, you know, if it paid off, you got a banger of a game. If it didn't pay off, well, you know, your game, and quite possibly your company are going down the drain. Sucks CPU, I guess. But hey, that's just the flip of the coin. And sometimes you have to make that coin flip to, you know, turn a profit. And, you know, a lot of these companies now have found a new way to turn a profit. But hey, nothing really groundbreaking is being made. Because, you know, that element of the risk and reward just isn't there anymore. So yeah, like what you're seeing now is a lot of these, you know, these corporate slogs of games that just are devoid of their soul, like devoid of, you know, any sort of emotion. Like it's a sad thing to think about, but quite frankly, this is the future of AAA gaming. Like the less and less companies are going to take risk, and, you know, game is going to feel more artificial, more just like more soulless, essentially. Especially like I'm talking about AAA games, by the way. Like you'll still have games like, you know, you'll still have like these AA and like independent game studios that do take risk, and, you know, some of them won't. Some of them will sink. Some of them will swim. But hey, you know, that's the future of gaming, essentially. Like, it lies with the risk takers, you know. And that's about it. That's all I could say, really.
Perhaps it's because you're an old jaded nerd, Actman. No, that couldn't possibly be it.
Am I so out?
Yeah. I guess I'm old, jaded too. Because, you know, I like, you know, going back to playing PS2 games every once in a while, and PS3 games. Yeah, quite possibly the best generation was, you know, both the 6th and 7th generation of gaming. Because you had companies willing to actually take those risks. And, you know, now we're in the 9th generation, just exiting the 8th generation, and, you know, there's not a whole lot of games we can genuinely say we're actually 10 out of 10 bangers. I mean, you'll have a few AAA games like, you know, Elden Ring, Dark Souls. I think Dark Souls 3 was like the 8th generation. Yeah, you'll have a few of these games that are actually like gems, but a lot of these other games are going to be like, a lot of these other games are going to be chaff in like a field that should have been like filled with wheat, essentially. Again, sucks to say, but this is AAA gaming we're talking about.
Out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
That's what we're going to explore today. The decline of AAA gaming and the rise of indie. Why has AAA gaming gotten so bad? Now first...
Yeah, and I'm just going to say this. I'm probably going to agree with a lot of the points that are made in this video. I'm just going to say this. Like, dude, I played a lot of AAA games, especially in the 8th generation, the Xbox One, PS4 generation. I played a lot of these AAA games on both, like, Xbox One, PS4. There's only a handful of games I can comfortably say were absolutely, you know, bangers, just absolute mind blowers. Yeah, like, honestly, there's only like a few diamonds in the rough, but hey, is what it is, I guess.
First off, what the fuck does AAA actually mean? The Advanced Aardvark Association? Because I'd love to join that.
The Amazing Ace Association. It's just a group of people who think I'm amazing. I'm the only member, by the way. I'm the only member. Me and my 20 YouTube subscribers and 25 Twitch followers. Yeah. Feels bad, man.
At club? No, instead you should join my public Discord server, the Act Clan. Links in the pinned comment and in the little card up here.
I don't think I've actually joined just yet. I probably might after we watch this video, but hey. Also, I have a Discord server. A private Discord server that I'm using to operate my PNG. So, you see this activate, it's because I'm in the Discord server by myself, a private one. And will you get an invite? Probably not, because, you know, I'm the only one that should be in this server that I'm in currently. This is for content only. Okay. Enough behind the scenes from me. Let's get back to this.
Here. But the acronym originally referred to large budget, high profile games developed by reputable studios released by major publishers. You know, Halo, Call of Duty, Warcraft, The Witcher, 50 Cent Bulletproof.
Oh my god. 50 Cent Bullet, bruh. I really want to emulate this game, but I don't have a PS2 emulator. And I don't feel like setting one up, because setting up a PS2 emulator is a lot harder than just downloading the Dolphin emulator, which is the GameCube Wii emulator. Oh god. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say 50 Cent Bulletproof is a AAA game, but you know, games like Battlefield are AAA games. Games like StarCraft are AAA games. Yeah. I'd also say Fallout and Skyrim are AAA games as well.
Quarry in the house. Games that would shake the very foundation of the world. AAA games typically have large teams, expensive marketing campaigns, and copious amounts of funding. The term was taken from the credit industry and applied to gaming once the severely obese corporate fat cats realized video games weren't a joke of a business and could actually make more money than Hollywood.
And that's the day when these corporates got into gaming. That's the day gaming died. I'm joking, but hey, these people in corporate positions getting it, you know, capitalizing on gaming really didn't help that much. I mean, yeah, a lot more funding for games, but that also came with the elimination of certain freedoms. Like, you had to meet deadlines, you had to, you know, cut a lot of content out. Typically, back in the day, like back in the 6th, 7th generation, like, you only had to cut content when, you know, it really wasn't necessary, essentially. That's at least what I remember. Nowadays, like, you have to cut content to, you know, meet deadlines. You gotta cut content because, you know, developing it any further would take too many unnecessary funds. Things like that. So, yeah. That sucks.
For business moguls, AAA meant this is the safest investment you can make to get a return.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. Today, AAA mostly indicates the aspirations and cost of a game, not how safe an investment it is. From the 80s to the 2000s, there weren't many games that were commercial failures. It was mostly like failed consoles. And that's a good video to watch. But since the 2010s...
I already watched that video off stream. I actually watched it twice. I watched the actual video and I watched Charlie's reaction to Critical's reaction to that video. Yeah, there were a lot of failed consoles. I think like the biggest failure, like what if scenario, is, you know, the Sega consoles. Like, if Sega actually succeeded, we'd probably be in a whole different, you know, gaming space today. Just saying.
As AAA gaming budgets have grown exponentially, we've seen some big-ass flops.
Yeah.
Marvel's Avengers...
Ooh, yeah, Marvel's Avengers was real bad. I don't think you can even buy it anymore. Like I think it's permanently taken off of sale, and like the only people who have it are people that bought it before, the game was taken off. The game was like delisted permanently, so yeah. That's how bad this game was.
Suicide Squad, Anthem,
Oh
Red.
god. By the way, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League actually got its first season, and the Joker is a playable character, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it didn't help the game. Didn't help the game at all. It's still incredibly bad.
Redfall, Aliens, Colonial Marines, and in the last 7 or so years, it also seems like many popular franchises have released what fans consider to be the worst entry in said franchise. Fallout 76, Battlefield 20.
Yeah, this little thing right down. Hang on. Not counting Brother of Steel because that game isn't. Yeah, a lot of people will say that Brother of Steel isn't a Fallout game. Yeah, I would say it isn't if we don't talk about Brother of Steel. Honestly, I feel like we should talk more about Fallout Tactics now that I think about it in terms of games that we should talk about, but hey, that's neither here nor there.
Fallout 76, Battlefield 2042.
Oh god, yeah, 2042 was just, again, like, we lost Battlefield, we lost the Eastern Front of Battlefield 5, we lost the Battle of Berlin for this. Like, we lost that content for this. Oh god, just EA was on something when they cut support for Battlefield 5, and they worked on this when further down the line they realized that 2042 was not going to be what they thought it would be, and that's a real damn shame to think about.
2, Mass Effect Andromeda. Maybe this is.
I'm gonna say this: I didn't hate Andromeda. Like, me and my brother both didn't hate that game. Honestly, I thought it was alright. Wasn't a great Mass Effect game, but I thought it was alright for what it was. I mean, I guess certain people feel different about it, but hey, could have been far worse. Just saying. With that being said, we're probably never going to get a sequel to that game, which kind of sucks, but, for certain people, they'll think that, that's a good thing. I don't know. Yeah, moving on.
It's all just a coincidence.
But as one trained in the Force, you know that true coincidences are rare.
So what gives? Why have things changed? Well, one of the driving factors behind the decline of AAA games is they've gotten too big. The pants do not fit anymore. For reference,
yeah, too big to succeed is the phrase, I'm pretty sure.
vanilla World of Warcraft was made by a team of about 40 people. Helldivers 2 was made by a team of 100.
Damn.
Over 9,000 people contributed to Diablo 4.
And look at it now, it's limping to the barn. I'm pretty sure Diablo 4 is not going to be continued to work. They're not going to continue work on it, is what I'm trying to say, for the proceed. I think in the next few years, if not next year. Yeah, this game was really rough.
What, 9,000?
Starfield. 7 years in development. $200 million budget. 1,700 planets to explore. Todd, you think maybe we could tone that number of planets down to 30? Or maybe 10? 10 really good planets?
The gamers desire 1,700 planets.
I really didn't, but hey. I really didn't desire that many planets. They should have done the Outer Worlds thing, where you had, we had a handful of planets. I mean, dude, Bethesda has the budget to actually make those planets really good. Just make, again, 10 to 25 planets that are expertly crafted and, have a lot of depth in them. I feel like they could have done that, but you know, they went with procedural generation, and oh boy, that good lord, man, that wasn't good. That I feel like that wasn't really good for the game. Like they could have went the like Starfield could have went the Outer Worlds route and just made like a handful of planets. You put like depth in them, and yeah, just that. But yeah, they went with I think it was procedural generation, but again, that did not really help the game that much. Do I think Starfield is bad? Not really. I don't think it's terrible. It's just not all that they should be. If that makes any sense.
AAA games have exploded in size, scope, and cost to an unprecedented level. On one hand, a larger team has the potential to create something truly incredible, revolutionary, to realize their greatest ambitions. But this relies on having a cohesive vision amongst many people and the budget and resources to make it happen. However, the more ambitious a project, the more money invested into it, the riskier it becomes. Immortals of Avium, a game you probably never heard of, was the debut title for Ascendant.
Yeah, this was an EA. This was a game published by EA. Oh god, I didn't realize that this was a launch title for like a new studio though. Yeah, oh boy, this was not good. This was not a good thing for to have your studio launch around. Bro.
Studios. And for some inexplicable reason, the game was given a budget of 125 million smackaroos, making it one of the most expensive video games ever made.
God, 125 mil for Immortals of 8, bro. And the game flopped so hard, bro. Good God Almighty, man! 125 mil for Immortals of Avia. Oh my God, bro. Oh, where did that budget go? Because I feel like the budget couldn't have gone to anything good.
What the fuck? Immortals sold poorly and Ascendant
very poorly, from what I remember.
After releasing their first title, had to lay off almost half of their staff.
45% of their staff on their marquee launch title, Ascendant Studios' marquee launch title, and after that they had to lay off 45% of their workforce. Jesus H. Christ. Oh my God. That is... God, Jesus Almighty in heaven. Oh my God. Dude. Oh, how hard must you have dropped this ball, dude? Oh God, I can't even speak right. They dropped the ball like so freaking hard.
6 months later, the remaining employees were furloughed, a fancy word for maybe you have a job, IDK, and the company's future is uncertain. Sometimes memes can spit.
That was Ascendant Studios' first game, keep in mind. Immortals of Avium was their first game. And after that, they might not be around tomorrow. Good God Almighty, man. Oh. Just imagine that. Like, imagine you're working for a company, right? A gaming company. And they release, and you know, your big game is going to release tomorrow, and you have a budget of friggin' $2 million. And it releases tomorrow. It does terribly. 50% of your coworkers are you know, laid off. Like, they could be friends, they could be, you know, they could be your siblings, I guess, if you work with your siblings. I don't know. And like after that the company decides, you know, maybe we're gonna keep you around, maybe we're just gonna shelf the entire studio. That's to be determined. Dude, imagine how much that would demoralize you, dude. Jesus, imagine how badly that would demoralize you. Oh God, dude, I would just quit on the spot. I was like, okay, if you're not gonna decide whether you're gonna keep us or you're just gonna lay the rest of us off, I'll make the decision for you. I'm gonna quit right now. Have a good life, pretty much. Dude, it's wild, dude. It's wild to see this happen, but hey, I guess that's just the price of, you know. I guess, you know, some companies do still take the risk, but, you know, most of the time they just flop, as you've seen with, you know, Mortal of Avium. Like, Jesus Christ, this is bad, dude.
Truth. I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less, and I'm not kidding. Immortals of Avium is a mistake that shouldn't have happened, and it's the exact type of reason why AAA publishers are sticking with familiar IPs and playing.
Yeah, this game looks rough, dude. Just looking at the screenshot, give me a sec. Just looking at the screenshots, this is pretty friggin' rough. Yeah, I don't know if I would even try this, man.
Safe. You guys excited for Call of Duty 26 to come out later this year?
Call of Duty naughty list. Oh my God. I can't wait to play as my new favorite operator, Santa Claus. Oh God.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Yeah.
But why was Immortals, this random game, bloated with such a ridiculous budget and high expectations? Well, COVID-19 changed a lot of things. People bought a shitload of video games during that time, and some upper management folk adjusted their business. They saw this as an opportunity to invest. So they expanded operations, hired more employees, but of course, the video game sales caused by the pandemic didn't last. And we're now seeing the fallout of that overexpansion. Fallout New Vegas. 10,000 layoffs in 2023, and
I want to play New Vegas again, but well, actually, no, I'm not. I'm currently not playing New Vegas. I'm playing Fallout Tale of Two Wastelands, which essentially is New Vegas in Fallout 3 in a big mod. Essentially, it's a mod for New Vegas, but yeah.
8,000 more on the way. Over 30 studios were shut down. Several games canceled. The hubris from corporate overlords has...
I saw Volition shut down as inevitable. Volition, for those of you who don't know, is the studio that puts out what was the studio that put out Saints Row, especially the most recent one, which was universally panned essentially. And after deciding that they weren't going to walk back any of the changes made, inevitably Volition felt they felt the wrath of the people, and they didn't make enough money to sustain themselves. So Volition eventually shut down, meaning that we're not going to see another sequel. Meaning that we're not going to see a sequel to Saints Row or any games in that series again, which that's a damn shame, but most likely it was probably for the best. Just saying.
Uprooted this industry in such terrible ways. Overloading teams with talented employees and a shit zillion dollars isn't some magical recipe for success. In fact, it puts the studio in a much more dire, stressful position, because if the game doesn't sell well, they're fucked. Blockbuster game development costs are out of...
Again, some will sink, some will swim. We're seeing a lot of studios sink. Far more than we're seeing them swim. Like, that's what those 30 plus studios were basically, you know, unfortunately, a victim of. They all dove headfirst in the ocean, and they sank like freaking boulders, dude. Ugh. Yeah, you hate to see it, but at the same time, it's kind of just like, that's kind of just the price of being in the games. God, what am I thinking? Being in like the games department, space. I don't know. My brain's like freaking scrambled eggs at this point. I don't know.
Control. According to a study by the CMA, a single AAA game could have development costs between $90 to $180 million, plus $50 to $150 million for marketing. That Suicide Squad game that 200 people are playing?
Yeah, that was marketed like crazy, and look at that! Look at that! Only 197 people playing an hour ago, a 24-hour peak of 272, all-time peak of 13,459. Oh, that's not good. That is like all that advertising for this game to just like well, Steam charts speak for themselves, as I always say. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, dude. And the thing is, this isn't just the Suicide Squad game. This was a massive amount. These are a massive amount of games that look like this. Games that may or may not have been advertised, last month or like last year, and they look just like this. Again, this is just a price. It's just like a major price of AAA or whatever. Yeah.
Probably had an inflated budget. This is clearly unsustainable. It's like every major AAA game is some massive live or die gamble. Naturally, companies want to mitigate and avoid all the risk they can. So, again, they rely on established IPs and stick with what's familiar. And
yeah, like, dude, was there a game? I'm trying to think. Was there a game that was an original IP, and like that stuck around for like, I don't know. I think the closest is Helldivers, like, because Helldivers was a game was it like an original game? Like the first game was just a different genre. Like it was a top-down arcade shooter, I'm pretty sure. And like Helldivers 2 became a third-person team shooter, which, worked flawlessly, essentially. So I think that's the closest thing to an original IP that paid off, paid off very well. Now that, like, I'm continuing to think about it, but like not a lot of games come to mind. Yeah, again, like nobody's willing to take these big risks and make new IP that could work, but everybody just wants to play it safe, which, yeah, I don't think it's gonna work well in the future.
most of all, safe. So wait a minute, Ackman. You're telling me AAA games have become a greater risk, but also safer?
That's a paradox, John.
Think about it this way. The bigger the budget, the more employees working on a game, the more copies it needs to sell. Therefore, it has to appeal to a lower common denominator. They have to simplify and dumb down something. They cannot take risks or experiment. They have to stick with what has proven to work. This is a huge
Yeah, MW3 2023 was essentially not like a good, what did he say?
They have to simplify and dumb down something. They cannot take risks or experiment. They have to stick with what
MW3 2023 was a big example of that, because they played it safe. They made a direct sequel, and look at that. It was it's the worst out of the newer trilogy. It's literally the worst rated game one of the worst rated Call of Duty games ever, essentially. It had the worst campaign. It had the worst campaign out of the series, I'm pretty sure. Multiplayer is just, you know, you either love it or you hate it. And zombies, bro, like, who asked for a repeat of the Outbreak mode from Black Ops Cold War? Like, a repeat mixed with Warzone DMZ, essentially. That's what it is, pretty much. And yeah, it didn't do well. Call of Duty MW3, like the newer one, sold pretty well, but it didn't maintain the amount of people that actually purchased it. I'd argue that a lot of people actually went back to play MW2 or, you know, any of the older games, especially like the 2011 release of MW3, which I've been playing a lot of. Just saying.
Has proven to work. This is a huge reason why indie games such as Helldivers 2, Hades, Lethal Company are so much better at innovating on a popular formula or giving us something brand new. Which would you rather play, Back 4 Blood or Deep Rock Galactic? I've
been meaning to play Deep Rock Galactic. I think it's on Game... I think it might be on Game Pass Core. I know for a fact it's on Game Pass Ultimate. But I need to actually check that game out.
See some fucking rockin' stone in the comments. But that's the thing. Back 4 Blood is a cheap imitation of what inspired it, while Deep Rock Galactic is a unique twist on the whole four dumbasses trying to accomplish something co-op game.
Dude, Back 4 Blood could have been a great, you know, could have been a great successor to Left 4 Dead, but you know, they went in a completely different route from what Left 4 Dead was, and essentially nobody wanted to play that. What people wanted to play was either a direct sequel of or something that was heavily inspired off of Left 4 Dead, and Back 4 Blood was not that game. I mean, loosely it was, but it wasn't a direct sequel, and it wasn't, you know, and you know, it was inspired, but you know, it didn't generate the hype that a Left 4 Dead game would have. So that's what Back 4 Blood. That's one of the things that killed Back 4 Blood, essentially. Is it still a alright game to play with friends? I mean, like, if you want to kill like an hour or two, then I'd say so. But I wouldn't go back to play it again. Just saying.
Deep Rock is brimming with charm, style, and this is gonna sound cheesy as fuck, but you can feel the love that went into it. I can't say the same with Back 4 Blood. What are some other examples that illustrate how games have gotten safe? Well, let me ask you this. Did you think for 1 millisecond that the Modern Warfare 3 remake was going to do the no Russian scene justice? Did you think it was gonna be as shocking, if not more so?
I mean, they already did something similar in the first soft reboot of Modern Warfare. They actually had a series of things. They had the use of white phosphorus, which, you know, is like a vile weapon to use in war. So they used white phosphorus in the campaign. They had an attack on a U.S. embassy, which, yeah, that's not good either. And in that same mission, with the attack on the embassy, one of the main villains literally caps a child. Yeah, it wasn't shown, but it was heavily implied in the story. Not to mention there's a crudload of other things that happened in the campaign that weren't necessarily on par with No Russian and the initial MW2, but you know what? I could kind of like put them on a similar pedestal. Note I didn't say the same pedestal, on a similar pedestal. For MW3, they didn't even try to make it overtly edgy or whatnot. And that was the charm of the OG MW2. Like, you know, you had the edginess. You had, you know, like the, oh, can we really show this in a video game? Can we really get away with this? Like, and you know, they said screw it, and they just went along with it anyway. And that's what made MW2 Classic so freaking good. Is that you know, speaking of taking risk, they took a huge risk and people loved it. You know, obviously you had the news sources that said, oh, this is promoting violence, this is promoting the next generation of school shooters, and this is promoting this, that, and the third. And, you know, like, honestly, like, every single time I see that on the news, like, I audibly sigh and I just change the channel, because, like, I know that it's just BS from, like, those news sources. But, yeah, like, back on the topic of, like, you know, those, like, the OG MW2, yeah, that's what made that game, and, like, like, you know, the sequel in the 2011 MW3, that's what made those games so memorable. Like, like, the only memorable game in the new trilogy that I could think of is probably MW 2019. Like, that's because it had, like, those series of missions where, you know, it questioned, like, morality. It did a bunch of, like, screwy stuff with the mind, but hey, you know, it still worked.
No!
You terrorist.
No!
You look like one.
God, Jesus Christ.
Woo! Oh, give the writers a raise.
That was so bad. That was so bad, man. Good God Almighty.
Of course not. Like, even Call of Duty feels like it's been sterilized. But of course there's some exceptions with, like, Cold War. I mean, that game took some serious risks with its campaign and story. And
pretty much, I will say this about Cold War. If you liked Black Ops 1's campaign, you're probably going to like, you know, Cold War's campaign, because it was loosely based off of the first Black Ops game. And I think Gulf War is going to actually... Because I think Black Ops Gulf War is going to be the next Black Ops game. I think that game is going to actually be pretty good. But, you know, I'm speculating on the game that... I'm speculating heavily on the game that isn't out yet. So it could be trash, it could be on par with Cold War, but hey. Honestly, we'll just have to wait and see.
Paid off. Gamers love being surprised. We love being thrown for a loop, because it's so hard to do now in the age of the internet and with all these leaks and everything. This is why Helldivers 2's live service is retaining so many players, because there haven't been any roadmaps going into excruciating detail about what to expect.
That's one of the big things I actually liked, was like, there is no set roadmap for Helldivers 2, which, you know, I think is, you know, based in, like, I think it's based in, you know, real world sort of, like, marketing. Like, you know, I think the people marketing Helldivers 2 are actually have a good head on their shoulders. But you wanna know what else I think? I think, like, the whole roadmap thing is also kind of lore based, because, you know, do you really have a roadmap in terms of, like, a war? No, you don't. Like, pretty much. Like, pretty much Helldivers 2 is, you know, essentially a big galactic war where, you know, nothing is set in stone. Like, you get an attack on a new front. Like, you know, like, the automatons could take a new, like, they could take a new battlefront, essentially. You know, you could get that third faction that rolls up on, like, the that empty spot on the map, on, like, the star map. So yeah, just saying. I feel like they play it kind of safe in terms of, you know, not marketing the game with a roadmap. But again, the theorist in me just has to say this lore explanation for it. Dear God.
It's why the redemption of No Man's Sky hit so hard, because Sean and Hello Games just went into hibernation and came out when they had something to show people. When I say safe, I'm not just talking about the lack of innovation with game design, but also the writing. AAA franchises that used to go really hard with the dialogue now feel tame, like they're pulling punches.
Yeah, they feel insanely freaking neutered, dude. Like there's not a whole lot you can show or like have your characters say in a AAA game. A big part of that is due to, you know, PC culture. Like, you know, certain things aren't acceptable anymore, and like certain things are. So like it all really just depends. But again, I'm not gonna stir up that pot, because I don't want to get a whole bunch of comments on this video saying, you know, Ace doesn't support PC culture or like whatever the hell. I'm not gonna deal with that, so we're just gonna move on.
I'm not a huge expert on Fallout, so Fallout fans, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But there is a massive difference between Bethesda's Fallout games and the other Fallout games. In New Vegas, you can literally sell drugs to children. Like,
oh my god! Wait, dude, I never noticed. I never knew about that. Bro, that's wild. The amount of times I played New Vegas and I've never come across that option. I've never come across that option, dude. That's wild, man. Oh my god. Yeah, Bethesda would never, dude.
That's a real choice you have in the game. You can be an absolute maniac. You can shake down a guy for caps and he'll say, well, you've taken everything but the clothes off my back. And then you can say, actually, give me your fucking clothes too. You know what I mean? Like, for some reason, I just can't picture these types of things.
Dude, I want to play I want to play like a villain. I want to do a villain run in New Vegas now. Oh, like I want to be an absolute menace to society in that game. Jesus Christ. Now that I know I can.
Being in a new Fallout game. KOTOR 2 is also a fantastic example, because I doubt we'll ever see a Star Wars game that takes the franchise in such a bold direction. KOTOR 2 is a Star Wars game where the main villain wants to kill the Force, destroy the Force, like remove it from the universe, destroy the concept of Sith and Jedi completely. There's no way in Nar Shaddaa we'd ever witness a Star Wars game that delves into that sort of thing.
We really should, like, especially now that the Old Republic is essentially canonized for Star Wars. We should definitely see a premise like that in the Star Wars game now. Oh my god, we should definitely see that. That's wild. Oh my god. I mean, I don't, like, you know, the KOTOR remake is like on again, off again, like, oh, it's canceled, oh, it's not, oh, it's canceled again, oh, it's not canceled again. Like, I don't know if we're gonna see the game ever come, I don't know if we're gonna see the KOTOR remake ever come out, but hey, if we do, we should definitely like see that sort of premise again. Especially for other games, especially like for other Star Wars games, like everything just follows Star Wars canon now, and like you don't see games like The Force Unleashed or Jedi Academy anymore, because well, those aren't core to the canon essentially. And yeah, like everything has to follow Star Wars canon now, and like original stories, they have to be part of it. So yeah, that's just another thing about, like, you know, companies not taking risk again. Like, well, I think it's just exclusive for Star Wars. Like, not taking risk comes in the form of, you know, not straying away from canon, which, I mean, that's a double-edged sword, because, you know, hey, if you want to make a if you want to make a story, you have to like stay kin to the you have to stay true to the lore, essentially. But then again, that kind of limits the creativity of certain people, like these devs. So yeah, I mean, if you ask me, again, I think that Star Wars Outlaws is going to be a massive flop. Just saying.
According to Obsidian, Chris Avalon, one of the main writers for New Vegas and KOTOR 2, Obsidian made multiple proposals to develop spin-offs for Fallout and the Elder Scrolls, all of which were turned down by Bethesda. And while we can only imagine the reason why, perhaps it was too risky in their eyes.
Dude, I would love to play an Elder Scrolls spin-off by Obsidian. That would go so freaking hard. That would go so hard. Like, you can't tell me that wouldn't. An Elder Scrolls spin-off made by Obsidian. Bro, please take my money. Take my non-existent money, please. I want to play that so bad, man. Oh my god. And Bethesda didn't let him. They just didn't. Why? Oh. That sucks, dude.
Here's another example. Halo Wars 2. Console RTS. Pretty niche, but its expansion, Awakening the Nightmare, was the first time in a decade we saw the Flood in a Halo game. Why haven't the Flood appeared in the main series? Don't want to risk lowering the sales with an M rating, right? M-rated games don't sell too great, do they? Speaking of Rockstar...
Bro. Like, that's such a... Like... Okay, so, yeah, we know why we're probably not... We know now why we're probably not gonna get the Flood in a Halo Infinite expansion. And we know why... And, you know, if Halo Infinite ever does get an expansion, we know why. Because they don't want to lower the ratings. Because apparently... That's such a dumb, like, perspective to have, dude. Like, M-rated games went so... Dude, you know Fallout? You know, like, the Elder Scrolls? Especially Skyrim? Yeah, like, GTA? Red Dead Redemption, anyone? Those are all M-rated games, and they sell incredibly well, dude. Oh my god, that's such a dumb perspective to have. Like, if that's really their perspective, that is so stupid, dude.
God, this industry pisses me off sometimes. LA Noire 2. Where is it? Bully 2? And you might think, well, isn't that hypocritical, Ackman? You were just complaining about these companies sticking to established IPs. But both of these franchises only have one game. And that's kind of my point.
Also, on the topic of Rockstar games, like, there's no way in this climate... I'm gonna say this, and, you know, it should go without saying. There's no way in this climate, like, especially with PC culture, that we're ever gonna get, like, a third Manhunt game. Because, just, like, if you don't know what Manhunt is, just... I'm gonna do you a solid. There are a few videos about Manhunt on YouTube. I would definitely suggest looking them up. Because I don't think I can actually comfortably describe what the game is without, you know, risking the video and my Twitch account getting flagged. Because the way I think about it is, you know, it's just overtly violent, and, you know, like, the way I would describe it is a way that, you know, would probably get me banned. So, yeah, just look up Manhunt, the game, and, like, you'll get the premise through that. But yeah, just saying, we're probably never gonna get a third game. That might be for better, but a lot of people are definitely gonna say that's for worse. But hey,
instead of making one, you know, $400 million game, why not cut a chunk of that out and develop multiple AA games?
What if they took one of these $150 million AAA budgets and made a couple of $20 million bets with them, right? And just funded a bunch of projects, and the risk is much smaller. And I think that would be,
that's
very
actually a
good
wise
for the
decision.
industry. And I wish AAA would take more risks like that with smaller teams. Then you would get that cohesion. You would.
Yeah, that's actually really smart to do. Like instead of taking like, say, like, dude, imagine if EA, instead of pumping 125 mil in Immortals of Avium, imagine that they took that, they diced it into like five quarters. Well, God, what am I thinking? One quarters. Okay, yeah, there you go. That's math for you. Imagine that they took that, like, they split it into, 5/1/4, and they just sprinkled that and made a bunch of AA games, like with new IP, essentially, like new original IP, and they made those games. And dude, like, if even like one of them succeeded, they would have a massive amount. They would have like a massive success, because again, it's EA we're talking about. So they could sell that game like hotcakes, and they would have a completely new series, essentially. Then again, they would probably milk the hell out of it, and they would over monetize it. So, because again, it's EA. But it just goes to show you that, you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. You could take them out. You could take them out of the basket. And, one of them could become omelet, essentially. I'm trying to think of something here. Give me a second. No, I can't think of anything. Okay, you get what I'm saying, right? I probably lost a lot of people along the way. I'm just saying, this is... Alright, let's move on.
Would get that sort of singular vision, I think, and stronger creativity out of it.
I at least understand this for Rockstar, because their games are so overhyped. If they released a sequel that you thought was a 9 out of 10, that would feel disappointing. A bunch of Halo spin-offs were also pitched to leadership at 343, including an ODST-themed game.
Bro, again, okay. An ODST-themed Helldivers, that would have been so freaking good. That would have been so amazing. Yet they didn't do it. Oh my god, bro, like, especially with the fact that we're probably that, with the whole like Sony like account linking thing that just happened like a few weeks ago. I'm pretty sure. Well, I think it was only a week ago when it happened. Especially with that happening, it's pretty safe to say that, Helldivers isn't going to come to Xbox. It's most likely not going. I was about to say, then again, Persona 5. In fact, the entire Persona series came to Xbox, but again, that's a whole different demon in and of itself. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see Helldivers 2 on Xbox maybe ever. So this would have been a great alternative. But, it was shot down in favor of, like, I guess, continuing work on Halo Infinite. Meanwhile, like, nobody knows how the slipspace engine works. We've seen that. We already know that. Nobody knows how the engine works. We're only focusing on cosmetics, and we're releasing content for the game at a snail's pace while we wait to port the game over to Unreal. So instead of working on any of these like side projects, any of these spin-offs, we're just going to continue, essentially observing Halo Infinite in its semi-dormant state while we continue to release cosmetic content for it, because why not? Why not, right? Who wants a spin-off game anyway? It's so stupid. We're 343 and we know what's freaking right in the world. If you can't tell, I'm a bit tilted about, how 343's managing Halo Infinite. Dude, this would have been so good for Halo, dude. Like an ODST-based Helldivers clone would have been so amazing, man. But they just decided not to do that for whatever reason. Oh my god, I can't understand for the life of me why, but I guess they just want to continue playing it safe.
Similar to Helldivers 2. Imagine what could have been. I guess I just don't understand why the corporate side of game development treats every title like it has to be an all-in bet. Do you see what I'm getting at? So many of our favorite franchises that we grew to love because of how bold they were.
You know, I'm gonna say this. Like, we know how successful Helldivers 2 is. Everybody know. I'm pretty sure the execs over in 343 know it. And they still turn down a game like that? Bro, there's money in that. There's money in that endeavor. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, why are we not capitalizing on this? It would have been so smart if they had actually done that. If they had capitalized on it, but you know, they just have to continue to play it safe because, you know, we can't make a risk. Like Halo Infinite was enough of a bust as is. We can't risk another loss like this. So we just gotta, you know, consolidate our losses and just maybe try to pick up the pieces of Halo Infinite and hope we could turn it into something great. Essentially, that's what they're getting at. But unfortunately, you know, they haven't really touched the game that much, and you know, for the exception of putting out, you know, battle passes, which, yeah, that's not doing so great for the game. And, you know, they're just releasing content in a snail's pace, which, again, not great for the game either. So, pretty much, we're kind of in limbo with that, with, you know, with 343, essentially.
Are now playing it safe. And that's why indie and AA gaming is thriving right now, because they can take risks.
Yeah.
They're not obsessing over how many people are going to buy the game. The developers of Palworld were like, well, hope this doesn't make us go bankrupt.
My God.
Indie studios are...
Palworld was so freaking good, dude. It was so good. I can't play it right now because it's not on Game Pass Core, it's on Game Pass Ultimate. But dude, I want to play that game again so freaking bad, dude. God dang it, man. That was so fun.
Operating at the level that AAA used to. And when you don't have to make hundreds of millions of dollars to keep your company afloat and not fire your entire studio, you can take risks. And going back to my initial comparison between Arrowhead and Ubisoft, there's a huge difference in the mission statements of AAA and indie games. Baldur's Gate 3 is an indie game. Larian is an independent studio.
It's an indie game that has the feeling of a AAA experience, pretty much. That's what a lot of these, give me a sec. Oh, God. That's what a lot of these independent devs should strive for. They should make their game feel like a full-fledged AAA game, and keep a cheap price tag to it, so a lot of people can experience it. Like, dude, imagine how great, you know, imagine how great it would be if a company like, say, okay, I'm gonna use an example that I haven't really used a lot. Imagine if a company like Capcom released a game that was similar to Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, you know, you could argue like Dragon's Dogma 2, but yeah, that didn't really do great. But imagine if Capcom released a game similar to Baldur's Gate 3, right? That would be amazing. You know, something that isn't Resident Evil or, like, you know, Marvel vs. Capcom. That would be amazing to see, dude. But yeah, unfortunately we got Dragon's Dogma 2, which which really didn't do that great, especially on PC, because like the game that they ported to PC was just not well optimized at all. And yeah, essentially, I haven't really been hearing a lot else about Dragon's Dogma, so it is, from what I've seen, it is a fun game, but yeah, there's not a lot of people are playing it. There's still a lot of people playing Baldur's Gate 3. Even though it might not seem like it on, you know, like, the numbers on Twitch, there's still a lot of people that are playing that game, and, you know, it has a very sizable community to it. So yeah, just some food for thought, I guess.
Studio, but the quality is so amazing, you'd assume it's AAA,
Yeah.
right? There's this trend of indie developers reassuring customers that they're not going to nickel and dime us. No, there are no in-game purchases in our game. We believe in providing a complete and immersive gaming experience without the need for additional purchases. Vermintide 2 is one of the only...
Yeah, imagine that, dude. Imagine that. Imagine a game that's just strictly for the gamer, not for additional profit. That's so wild to think about. Yeah, and also, yeah, Vermintide 2 said that they will not be selling loot boxes.
Only games to do loot boxes right, because they didn't sell them. At the height of the loot box craze, no less. Helldivers 2 doesn't let you pay for tiers in the Freedom Passes. Indie developers can afford to be more player-friendly, because they...
Also, keep this in mind, you can buy super credits in Helldivers 2, right? You can buy super credits. However, you know how you could also get super credits? In the Freedom Pass, or just by doing missions in, like, finding super credits hidden in different locations. That's how you can earn super credits and not have to buy the battle pass, essentially. You could grind several missions and get enough to buy, like, a certain Freedom Pass. That's what I'm doing right now. I know that in the free Freedom Pass, I won't be getting enough credits to actually get another one. However, if I just keep grinding enough, I will find enough super credits, and I will be able to get another Freedom Pass. So, you know, it's not really that big of a deal to me. It's when these companies, like, it's like, dude, essentially, I'm gonna throw more shade at Overwatch 2. The best way to get credits in Overwatch 2 is just buying them, because I'm pretty sure they haven't changed the way the store works to where, you know, it took like it can take you like over like 50 years, I'm pretty sure, to get every single legendary in Overwatch 2. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah, they haven't. I don't think, from my understanding, I don't think that they've fixed that. I don't think they ever will fix that, so that really sucks. Yeah, so again, there's a way to do microtransactions right, and there's a way to, you know, do them importantly. I think Titanfall 2 has one of the best microtransaction systems in gaming, because again, you get to see what you purchase, essentially. You get to see what you purchase. Oh god, excuse me. And like the things you can find for free that you earn in-game points with, they're on par with some of the stuff that you find in the shop. So you could just play the game and not spend any money in, like, with microtransactions. And again, they're not gameplay oriented, they're cosmetic oriented, so yeah, that's a big plus. A few other games do it pretty well. Like, I still think Fortnite shop is, you know, not that bad compared to you know, other stores, but hey, that's just me.
They don't have these investors hanging over their heads and these massive budgets. You might think all these egregious microtransactions is just pure corporate greed, and there's a good chance some of it is, but it's also a safeguard, like a necessity. And I think the solution is just to make games smaller, dude. Now, a really shitty byproduct of this risk-averse mentality is that a lot of these publishers are looking for a quick buck. They want to make easy money. So what do? Bingo! Flood the market with shitty remasters. Boy, there's been an abundance of these lately. The Last of Us 1 on PC, GTA Trilogy.
Oh, the GTA Trilogy was like... That was big yikes, dude.
Hey, here we go again.
Hell, even Dark Souls Remastered sucked major ass. And don't even get me started on the fucking Battlefront collection.
Oh my god. Bro. Okay, alright. So, yeah. I'm going to amend what I said about the GTA Trilogy. This was probably one of the worst remasters of a classic beloved game to ever be released, essentially. Good god, the Battlefront collection was so bad, dude. There was so, and it shouldn't have been. It wasn't that hard to make it. The funniest thing, by the way, is that the game was like what, 50 gigabytes when, you know, both these games combined are like not even like over 15 gigs. I think they're like 12.4 gigs combined. So, yeah. Not great.
Did you know that at one point Warcraft 3 Reforged had like 3 people working on it? Like one guy was supposed to remake all of the cutscenes? And this is so perplexing. These studios dump 10 figures into a new game but can't even hire 10 people to make a decent remaster.
Yeah.
It's like there's no middle ground. It's either no budget or dump the bank account. Meanwhile,
we don't know how to mediate, essentially. Median? We don't know how to set a median, essentially, or middle ground. English is not a good language for me. English is a hard language, I should say. I'm trying here, guys. It's been like what, 2 hours? 2 hours 46 minutes. So, yeah. Forgive me if I haven't been all that coherent.
a Lethal Company made by one guy. Now, because studios are...
A game made by one guy has been a lot better than you know, a ton of these studios. Anything put out by a ton of these studios, dude, Jesus Christ. Imagine getting outperformed by one guy.
Are investing so much, they tend to interfere with the creative process to insane degrees. They see trends that are making money elsewhere, and they think, well, let's just throw that into our game. I'm funding this. Yeah. What I say goes.
I think the Battle Royale craze was one of the worst things to happen in recent memory. Like, to be fair, there were some good games that came out of that. Like, you know, Warzone is still a lot of fun for people just looking for a good free-to-play battle royale. Obviously, Fortnite is still around. Not as famous as it once was, but hey. You have games like Apex Legends, which was a little bit late to the punch, but hey, it was really good when it first came out. Of course, you have PUBG, which is what a lot of people think of when they think of battle royale. And like, yeah, you have games like that, but on the same end, you have a lot of these games that jumped on the battle royale craze and went nowhere with it. Like, you had Battlefield 5's Firestorm mode, which pretty much died like the first few days it came out. Oh god, you have like CS:GO had a battle royale mode, which, you know, that's you know, what made the game go free to play in the first place. But a lot of people didn't really play CS:GO, like the free CS:GO, for the battle royale mode. A lot of them just played it for, you know, the standard 5v5 mode, or they just played it to surf, pretty much. And yeah, you have a lot of these other like free to play battle royale games that didn't go anywhere necessarily. Like there were a lot on Steam. There's some like free to play ones on the PSN store and like the Xbox store. They went nowhere, pretty much. So yeah, the battle royale craze did create some gems, but a lot of them just crumbled to dust essentially, and nobody wants to remember them essentially. Yeah.
Redfall lost 70% of its Arcane staff during development, struggled the whole way. Development of Redfall began in 2018 as parent ZeniMax was quietly looking to sell itself and was encouraging its studios to create games as a service projects like Overwatch. Microtransactions were intensely encouraged. However, the problems in trying to develop Redfall surfaced early. Firstly, management kept offering conflicting visions of what the game would and should be, resulting in developer confusion about what they were creating. How to reconcile single-player and multiplayer within an Arcane game was never really resolved either. Secondly, Arcane employed fewer than 100 people, which had been enough to make a single-player game, but...
Yeah. Hang on. Had been enough to make a single-player game like Prey, but was not a healthy number for developing a large multiplayer. Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot. They screwed themselves over, essentially. Like, 100 people? Yeah, they can work on the single-player game, no problem. Like, 100 dedicated people? Sure. For a large multiplayer... For a game with a large multiplayer framework... You would need... Yeah, you're definitely going to need more than 100 people. Maybe, at the very least, 1,000 people. But 100 people working on the multiplayer game, not really going to work out. Not really going to work out in the long run.
Was not a healthy number for developing a large multiplayer game with microtransactions to manage. Outsourcing work to other studios was reportedly not enough to alleviate the strain.
Yeah.
As a result of plummeting morale and lack of direction, veteran employees left the company in droves, with about 70% of the staff ultimately leaving Arcane. Redfall is not the only story of its kind. You can look at most AAA flops or AAA games that severely disappointed, and you'll find something similar. Management interfered. Management wanted this. I imagine they feel they have to micromanage these things.
Yeah, from what I've heard, Bungie had a completely different vision of what Destiny was supposed to be. But unfortunately, they were still being managed by Activision Blizzard. And yeah, essentially their vision of Destiny got screwed over by, big execs. So, yeah. I feel like Destiny would have definitely been a lot different if, Bungie was able to work on the story how they wanted to work on it. And, yeah. Bungie's still picking up the pieces, and I wouldn't say it's going necessarily smoothly.
Again, because of the investment. Sometimes with AAA games, it feels like there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And Gordon Ramsay is pissed.
What are you?
Yeah.
An idiot sandwich.
There's gotta be a happy middle ground in dev team size. Too small and you feel like the world rests on your shoulders.
Yep.
Too big and you feel like you have zero agency and influence. These big dev teams, especially when they're spread out against multiple studios across the country, can sometimes have very inefficient communication, bureaucracy. Next, Battlefield has the largest development team so far. 1 year later, former DICE dev says 2042 never stood much chance being great at launch.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh. Just hearing it being said is... Dude. Yeah, that's rough, man. That's really bad. That's so bad.
There's a video by Timothy Kane, the creator of the original Fallout, about game development caution. And he talks about how certain things in game development now that could be fixed in 45 minutes now take 4 weeks.
When we were making the Outer Worlds, the combat AI wasn't really in yet, so I asked for a very simple combat aggression code to be added. This is how simple it was. Every time an NPC got shot, they would see if that person was on the list of someone who'd shot them. If they weren't, they'd add them to the list with the amount of damage they just took. If they were already on the list, they'd just add the amount of damage they took. Whenever they're deciding who to attack, they attack the person at the top of the list. That's it. That's all I wanted. The programmer who it got signed to came to me and said, I need 4 weeks. And I'm like,
What
why?
the fuck? Bro, 4 weeks to add in a simple line of code? What the fuck? Bro, what the... Dude, there's no way. No, there's no shot you would need 4 weeks to add in a simple line of code, dude. That's insanity. That is insane, bro.
Walk me through what you're going to do. And he goes, you don't understand. And I was like, I've coded this 3 times. Walk me through it. And he wouldn't. He left. He left angry. Lead programmer came back, started yelling at me, saying, if he says he needs 4 weeks, he needs 4 weeks. And I'm like, then I will do it. I'll have it done before lunch. And he said, no, because then people will have to support your code. I'm like, I'm going to walk you through what I want. And you tell me why this takes 4 weeks. He looked at what I wrote, which was about 10 lines of pseudocode on a whiteboard. And he goes, I'll come back.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What the bro? Bro. 10 lines of code that just need to be written down and then translated onto, and that's going to take you 4 weeks. That's going to take you 4 weeks to do. Really? I feel like even I could do that, dude. What the
He came back about an hour later and said, what about 2 weeks? And I said, do I have any options here? Fine. 2 weeks.
You want to fix these lines of code? That decision has to go through 10 fucking departments now. It needs to be...
Bro, you want to know what that's similar to? You know how we watched the freaking Battlefront 2 video? And I reacted to that and I posted like a few months ago, actually. Bro, there was a missing line of code where I think it was something to do with the game's heroes and villains. And like it was a very simple thing to fix. And yet Aspire shipped the game out with the code not in the game, and somebody easily found the fix for it. Oh my god, that's what that reminds me of, dude.
Be approved by your manager, by your manager's manager. It has to go through the marketing team, the DEI office. The fucking janitor's cousin has to approve it. Indie developers don't have the same level.
You know what? I wouldn't doubt the janitor's cousin has to look at it. And you know what he's gonna show? You know what he's gonna do? He's gonna show it to his son. He's gonna show it to his son. And he's gonna. The son's gonna show it to their sibling. And then the chain's just gonna keep going and going until you show it. Oh god, this is so bad, dude.
Of bureaucracy. I imagine if there's a problem with the code, you could just walk over to the cubicle of Jimbo and ask him about it without the fucking HR department breathing down your neck. And you also have to make games that can be released in China. You need that China money. It has to hit certain quotas and scores on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah, Blizzard knows a thing or two about that. They definitely know a thing or two about that, because they've had to do a thing or two.
To secure funding, and the game needs to have microtransactions for this consistent revenue source, a live service business model, so that makes the investors happy. And can you see how creativity dies in this environment when games are made by committee and not creativity?
Yeah, that's essentially putting your game on life support that you know is gonna die. You know is gonna flatline in like 2 months, give or take. Yeah, it's not the smartest decision to make.
It also seems like the more employees a company has, the easier it is for you to blend in and not be seen or heard. Indie studios typically have better working conditions with flexible hours. Employees have more creative control. Smaller teams allow the individual to have more influence on a game and a greater impact. I've seen a lot of articles from ex-developers who say, this game wasn't what we intended to make. It wasn't what we envisioned. Disagreements are going to
imagine
spring
not.
up in game development, but it's easier to settle an argument between 2 people than it is 100. At the end of the day, indie gaming has risen where AAA has fallen. The decline of AAA gaming is...
Yeah, again, I keep forgetting who said this, but it still rings true so very much. The future of gaming is with AA and independent developers, essentially. Like, there's no faith... You can't place any faith in AAA developers because they're just going to let you down. They're just going to, you know, they're just not going to stand and deliver. They're just going to crumble to dust. That's a sad thing to think about, but it's the truth.
Due to the insane budgets, scope, and expectations of these games, how that affects the employees, the work environment, the investors and higher-ups who have to constantly micromanage these games and throw in their own ideas when they have no fucking clue what makes a good video game.
No.
I feel like a lot of these developers simply don't have the same luxuries and freedom to create art like they used to. Game development in the AAA space is now a committee process where simple solutions to bugs can take weeks, where the freedom to express and create art...
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. I'm just gonna say this. I feel like AAA kind of died at the beginning of the 8th generation of gaming. Like the 6th generation, AAA gaming was the strongest it's ever been. 7th generation, it started to get weak. It started to get weaker. It was still strong, but it started to weaken. You know, like the end of the 7th generation, like, yeah, it was checked into the hospital, essentially. And, you know, beginning of the 8th generation, it's you know, vital signs were starting to fade away. And, you know, nearing the end of the 8th generation, it's essentially only been given, like, you know, it's essentially been given the equivalent of like 2 weeks to live, pretty much. And, you know, not 9th generation is here. It may very well kick the bucket, which is sad to think about again, but hey, it's just the life of AAA.
Art and take risks is suppressed in favor of creating the generic and the safe. Too many external factors have disrupted what used to be a creative process with the singular goal of making the best and most fun video game possible. It ain't about that no more. This shit has to make money, and a lot of it. And it's for all these reasons that AAA gaming is declining, and why indie titles are thriving. But what do you think? What are some of your favorite indie games? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to join my public Discord server. Links in the pinned comment and the description. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to The Act Man for more awesome content. Alright everyone, that's all I got for today. This is The Act Man signing out. Peace!
Yeah, this was a really solid video. But dude, it really goes to show you that, you know, there isn't really much hope left in AAA. Again, I'm going to say this, I'm going to repeat this again, the hope of gaming lies with the indie and AA developers, because, you know, AAA is just, it's got 2 weeks, it's got the proverbial 2 weeks left. Yeah, here's a link to the video. Yeah. Okay, so that's about that. God, dude.